Most students who pick GCSE Spanish spend months wasting their time on revision that will not get them a grade 9. But if you stick around for the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the 3-step revision plan that I use with my students to guarantee that students start revising the right way from day one so that they can build knowledge faster, retain it longer, and stay ahead all year. And if you would like me to send this revision plan, 3-step revision plan to you, then drop the words revision plan down below and I'll send it to you. But first, if you don't know me, hey, my name is Estriana. I'm the director here at the GCSE Spanish Academy, where I help students go from wherever they are to a grade 9 without becoming overwhelmed or having to give up on their summer holidays. And every single time I pop into your newsfeed, I'm giving you an actionable tip and a tool to help you do that too. So most students they say they don't know how to revise. When they get to year 11, they've just wasted the whole of year 10 and they have no idea how to revise. We've got revision guides, they've got the internet, BBC Bite Size, they're using Duolingo, but they're really not sure what's going to work, and the things that they tried haven't worked. And the reason why they haven't worked is because they are actually missing these 3 steps. And so I'm going to walk them through with you right now. The first thing that students often don't do is they don't create a target. Why is it important to have a target? Yes, they have a target grade, but students have no idea how they're going to get there. Most students have a grade that they would like to achieve by the end of year 11, but they have no clue what they need to be, where they need to be, so that they're actually on track. And so they get to their marks at the end of year 10, and then they get to the 2 that they get in year 11, and that's the only time that they know whether they're really on track. And I'm here to tell you that you don't actually need to do that, and we shouldn't be doing that, because then what happens is students get caught off guard and then panic revise. We don't want that. So there's 2 things that you want to think about when it comes to a target. You want to think about the time frame, and you want to think about then the actual target. And there are 3 targets that your child needs to have all of the time. So they need their end of year 11 target. Now that isn't necessarily the target that the teacher has set them. You might want more than what your teacher has set you. And so a lot of students say, by the end of year 11, I want to achieve a grade 9. And so then you have to think, okay, from where I am, where do I need to be by the end of the half term? Now, this is going to be determined based on 2 real factors. The rate of progress that they need to make, so how quickly, so depending on when you're starting, how quickly you need to make progress tells you what you need to be able to do at the end of the half term. And then you need to be aware of the skills required. So what are the things that I need to do? Now, if your child already have their teacher, or if they've got a tutor, their tutor should be able to walk them through exactly where they need to be by the end of this half term to stay on track for this end of year 11 target. But I always go 1 step further, because you need to be revising and studying every single week. It shouldn't be ad hoc study. So you need to know where you want to be at the end of every single week. So an example of this, if say for example we are looking for the end of the half term, so we're starting right at the beginning of year 10, you want to be able to write accurately with regular verbs in the past, present and future tense in the first normally when students enter year 10, they do know the present tense, but actually in the first week, if I was doing it right from day 1 of year 10, I would say I need to be able to conjugate verbs, which means to change the verbs, conjugate regular verbs in the present tense. So I am going to be, or that child is going to be revising and recapping how to form verbs in the present tense at the end of week 1, and then we would move on. But a child, all of the time, they should be aware of these 3 things: what they need to be doing by the end of what they want to get by the end of year 11, where they need to be by the end of the half term in order to stay on track for that target, and where they need to be at the end of the week in order to stay on track for that end of half term and end of year 11 target. That then guarantees that your child is always on track. And if they aren't, you as a parent can then intervene early enough so that you're not waiting until those marks, because that's realistically, unless you've got a target, that's really when you're going to find out, or maybe at parents' evening, whether your child is actually on track. And even parents' evening is a little bit too late, because year 10 parents' evening isn't as early as I would like it to be. Okay, and then the next thing you want to make sure that you have is you've got a half-term plan. Like, what do you want your child to be able to do by the end, but what during that half term, so that they then meet this half-term plan, and it gives your child activities to choose from every single week. And there are 3 key things that you want your child to know, plan for. The content, so what they're going to be studying, consistency, how often they're going to study, and then critique. Where are they going to get feedback, and what are they going to get feedback on? So let's look at each of these. So content, what are they going to be focusing on? Well, that is nice and simple because that's in your end of half term target. Okay, so you're going to be focusing on regular verbs in the past, present, and the future tense. That's going to be the content of our revision. Where are you going to get that from? You then might say, okay, it might be your class notes, it might be a revision guide, it might be a particular website, okay, worksheets. There's loads of places, but you know that this is what I am looking for. So this means that you know exactly what resources, or whether the resource is fit for purpose. Okay, then you're going to look at consistency. So a lot of students might have something along the lines of so they might have a 1 hour revision session on, I don't know, a Monday. And then they might have recall 3 times a week, 15 minutes. So they might have like a 15-minute recall where they just revise, they go over it, they do some sort of type of task just to keep it in their memory. Okay? And then it's critique. Where am I going to get feedback from? Maybe what are you going to get feedback on? Maybe you're going to write a paragraph each week and give to teacher to mark on a Thursday. You'll give it to them to mark on a Thursday, and you might get it back during the following week. The reason why that is so important is because that is going to tell you, one, whether you've reached your end of week target, and 2, whether you're therefore still on track for your end of half term and end of year 11 target every single week. Students should be getting feedback every single week based on the target that they are aiming for, so that you can monitor that progress and we can see. If they are not, we can make some intervention, we can make some changes. Maybe the resources aren't very good, maybe the consistency isn't enough, or maybe they're ahead, and then you can go, actually, we might want to get ahead and we might carry on with this for a bit, but then maybe we can slow it down. And so this is just going to give you a really clear idea of exactly where your child is at all times without having to put too much effort into it. And then the final thing that you want to make sure that you've got, so once you've got your targets, your 3 targets all of the time, you've created that half-term plan, then you're going to design your week. So you're going to identify, okay, what is it that I need to be doing this week? Well, if I am going to be looking at being able to conjugate the present tense verbs this week, I am maybe going to have a look at my class notes. I might go and look into a revision guide. I might practice some worksheets, and I'm going to do that in that first hour session. And then I'm going to write 3 different paragraphs in the present tense, so practicing my verbs, and I'm going to write them in 15 minutes, and I'm going to give them to my teacher on Thursday, and they are going to give me some feedback on what I have done, for an example. And that is therefore, you've planned out your week. You've done like an hour and 45 minutes of Spanish every single week, focusing on the present tense this week. Maybe next week you'll then look at the past, and so on. And then you might then build up to doing a full 90 word after a few weeks once you're really confident with all of these things. And so those are the 3 steps that I would take. I take every student through, and these are the 3 steps that I would be taking if my child was starting right at the beginning of year 10 to guarantee that they stay on track for whatever it is their target it is. Now, if you would actually like me to send you this document so that you've got a bit of a template to follow, so you know exactly what you need to be doing in terms to create a GCSE revision plan for your child in these 3 steps, then drop the words revision plan down below and I will send it over to you. Right, that's it from me. Adios.